Okay, so we're driving up the South Klondike Highway, headed in to Canada. We'll enter British Columbia first, and then on into the Yukon Territory. And the day starts out kind of gray and cloudy. It's going to turn out to be a much better day as we get farther in. We just finished passing an area, and I apologize for not having the video of it, where there was just mostly a huge canyon off to the right. This was the area that the 49ers had to pack gear up to get into the Yukon Territory to go into the gold fields. It was really a really very difficult climb for them. In a car, it's much easier, much quicker. Uh,
Hi, if we're meeting for the first time, my name's Ken Edmonds, and on this channel I help everyone travel better, spend less, and I provide information for those that travel with difficulty. In today's video, we're going to take a drive on the South Klondike Highway from Skagway up into the Yukon Territory, and you're going to see 5 amazing things. You're going to want to watch for them as we go through the video. We've got 2 suspension bridges. One of them isn't fastened at the end. We have a lake. We have a desert in Canada. And we have a sled dog operation. So you're going to see all of those. You're going to want to watch the video. Here's today's video.
so right now we're pulling away from the Canadian immigration area. It's just a quick stop. They did check our passports. They took them, went inside the building. We're gone a couple of minutes, came back out, and we're headed along the highway. You can see the tour bus in front of us went through the same process, but we're heading along the highway that's going to take us by Summit Lake. One of the features of this drive for most of its duration is that there's water on the right side of us, sometimes right here by us, sometimes farther away. But Summit Lake's going to come into view right here off to the right. It's actually what appears to be a lot of little small pieces of water. There is one on, let's say, major lake, but mostly small pockets. We've done it several times. It is just absolutely amazing. You get a better view maybe right now of the mountains up there ahead. And like I said, we're coming up right on the stop in just a second here, and we'll get a look at all there is to see. There, yeah. So as we pan around here, what you'll see is all of the different little pockets of water. The lake's got a bunch of these little islands. It's not. I don't think it's a particularly deep lake. It's just kind of the bottom of the valley, and it traps water in there. It's not like there's a dam or anything specifically set up that holds it in place. And you can see we're way below the snow line as we pan around. And in just a second, we're going to get started moving again. It's gorgeous here. Right here is a rest area. I've got a picture of overhead of the outhouses that they used to use. Don't use them anymore. Now we're back driving along the highway. We made our rest stop. And as we're driving along, we've pulled away from where Summit Lake was. The highway just kind of makes like a little elbow or a little bow in it. And as we go on in a few minutes, we're going to come up on Bernard Lake. And it's pretty consistent pattern that on the right side of us as we go along here for a long ways, there's going to be bodies of water that will come and go. So you can't really see the lake at this point in time, but there's water. It's off to the right. We're maybe half a mile away right now. You'll see over on the right side there's snow on the mountains. And along in here there's small waterfalls, pretty common as we're driving along. We'll actually stop and shoot some video of a couple of them as we're traveling. You get a chance to see them. This is such a nice drive. We did it when we were there a few years back. We did it this year, and we'll probably do it again when we're there next year. In just a minute, we're going to come up on a suspension bridge that crosses the river I think it's the river between Bernard Lake and Shallow Lake. And this suspension bridge is just over a gorge that's probably 30 or 40 feet deep. It's just a walk across bridge. There's a place to eat there. We did not pay to walk across the bridge because if you want to walk across the bridge, they charge a fee. And the canyon is really cool. It was an interesting place for a stop. We were there early in the season, so the restaurant wasn't really up and functional. They just had some like cold sandwiches, but by the time we got there, we were hungry. And again, now we're starting to see this would be Shallow Lake we're coming up on here on the right. And we're going to stop and we're going to take a look. I was actually, much to my wife's annoyance, I stopped here because I was hunting bear. Even though I didn't get the footage of it, and sad to say, earlier in the drive we had seen a bear down low feeding. And so we thought, well, we'll go ahead, and I wanted to stop here. And with all the dandelions, the bears eat dandelions this time. You can't see it, but there's train tracks that run right below where I stopped. And this means that there's a pretty good cliff there. I thought it would be a good chance for me to look over the cliff. And you can see me there walking out looking, like I said, I'm bear hunting. I didn't find any bear, but we did enjoy the view while we were parked here. And like I said, this again would be on Shallow Lake. You can see where the avalanche chutes were on the mountain. Now we're coming up and we're getting ready to take our detour off the road for a minute. We're going to detour down here and go to the lake. It's just like a boat ramp down in here. And I thought we weren't in a huge rush, so let's go down and see what the lake looks like. And obviously, it's way too cold to swim in. There were some people we saw with kayaks. I'm thinking that I would want a wetsuit if I was going to go out here and get in this water. I believe that there's probably good fishing in a lot of these lakes because they don't get much pressure. If there's fish in any of them, they'll be spreading, because they're connected to each other. And then we're going to pull out of here and we're going to start back down the highway. We're going to go, probably our next stop in the video is going to be Emerald Lake. We've got, at this point in time where we are at Shallow Lake, we're probably 20 miles from Emerald Lake. I'm looking on the map as we go. So we're probably at least 20 miles. We'll go alongside another big lake as we head toward Carcross. And then the scenery is this is fairly typical scenery as we make this trip. Like I said, it's just beauty everywhere you look, I guess, is the best way to describe it. Now we're coming up on Emerald Lake, and as you can see, it gets its name for a reason. There's a calcium mineral, and I forget exactly what it is, but there's a calcium mineral that's in the water that causes it to take on the color it does. And just another quick pan around as we look here. It is gorgeous. It's one of the most photographed lakes in the Yukon Territory. This is typically where people turn around. Now this is the desert, and it's not what you would expect to find in the Yukon Territory in Canada. I have the sound muted because the breeze was blowing pretty good here, and the mic all you hear is wind noise in the mic. But I'm going to take a quick walk up into here. Again, the wind was so brisk that it wasn't particularly a pleasant day to spend a lot of time here. And we had our port stop in Skagway was kind of short, so we had some other things that we wanted to see and do on our way back. So we decided that we would take a quick walk through. This is actually not a true desert because the humidity is too high to be a true desert. But other than the humidity, everything else about it makes it a desert. These sand dunes move. You can see patches of stuff that hold some of them in place. You can see where they've blown in and around the pine trees that grow in here. This is actually the bottom of an old lake bed. and the wind scours through here from in different directions and kind of moves the sand around, and it actually scours some sand off of the cliffs around here and blows the sand in, so it kind of actually replenishes itself. But again, it's quite an interesting place to stop, and on a nice day it'd be good to walk through. One thing I'll say about the sand there, my wife travels with a wheelchair, and one reason she didn't get out is because the sand is so soft. It's just not very easy to maneuver through. So it's not a place for the wheelchair, but it's an amazing place to stop and see. As we head back along the highway, we're going to pull over here and stop. We're headed back down toward Skagway at this point in time, but there's a waterfall that we stopped to take a picture of over here on the right. And it's, again, quite a gorgeous sight. So you can take a look at the waterfall, and then we're going to get going here in just a second. That's not the only waterfall we're going to see. We've got another waterfall or so coming up as we drive along here. Again, we're kind of right along the river between the two lakes. So here's our other waterfall. I'm going to pull the car up. There was a bus there that just pulled out, so I took this opportunity to pull around and point the camera at it. Anyway, and this was the interesting thing about this bridge is it's only anchored at one end. On both sides, it's a suspension bridge, and in both cases, they're only anchored on this side. The other side is actually loose, and the reason is that this earth area is prone to earthquakes, and so if they get an earthquake, what happens is by it not being moored, it lets the bridge move without damage. And so we're headed, and sorry for the tilt in the camera there, but we're headed now toward the Tutsi Sled Dog Adventure. This is run by Michelle Phillips. She is a veteran Iditarod racer. She and her partner have a sled dog operation. And so we're going to stop and get a chance to take a look at the sled dogs and get pulled by the sled dogs. We're going to do a little gold planning. So this is going to be a pretty interesting video. It'll be our next one in the series, and you'll in about a week or so you'll be able to find it posted on the channel. Like I said, again, she has just a beautiful place to have this. You can see the buses that are stopping in here. They were busy when we got here, so we had a little bit of a wait, but it was well worth it. We enjoyed it so very much.
I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please, if you haven't already done so, hit like and subscribe. The next video in this series will be out in the next couple of days, and it's going to be a video about that sled dog operation you just saw. We're going to take a ride behind some sled dogs. We're going to get to listen to a veteran Iditarod racer, and she has some amazing tales to tell. You're going to want to look forward to seeing that, so I'd hit the bell button too so you get notified. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.